Coming up in this special report, learn how to keep your brain in tip-top shape as we focus on gray matters. Your brain is the most complicated organ in your body. It controls your thoughts, movements, and behaviors, and when it's injured, can cause life-changing disabilities. In this special, we share the latest research and explore common causes of brain injury. Learn how to prevent strokes and concussions, and how area therapy programs may help you recover. It's all coming up on this Focus Special Report.
Focus showcases the people, places, and issues that matter to you.
Everybody has a story.
These are the stories that uplift and inspire right here in your neighborhood.
Focus on what matters. You never know what you're going to see when you tune into Focus.
Thank you for joining us for Gray Matters, a Focus special report about your brain. Described as the most complex part of the human body, this 3-pound organ controls movement, behavior, and thought, and scientists say we're in the golden age of brain research. Here to tell us more is Focus reporter Grover Silcox.
Well, you know, Laura, people always tend to praise the heart. They give it all the attention, but poets adore it, athletes and entertainers perform with a lot of it. You never hear someone say, "You got a lot of brain, kid." And yet the brain is key to who we are. It commands all the other bodily organs. It enables us to do all that we want or hope to do. So maybe it's time for all of us to learn more about the brain and its functions.
If you're looking for your brain, you'll find it at the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia. Your brain's the largest neuroscience exhibit in the country, with more than 70 interactive activities and exhibits.
When our visitors go through your brain, they are really studying their own brain, how it works, how it reacts.
In the Your Brain exhibit, visitors learn basic brain facts.
There's the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem.
Folks test their perceptions.
So here we're looking at more examples of perception, how your brain takes in information.
Visitors even get to hold real brains.
It's alive! It's alive!
Folks also learn how thought turns to action.
And the way thoughts work, it's kind of like electrical wiring, where you click a light switch and then the signal goes through the wiring and then the light bulb comes on. In the same way, one nerve cell is connected to another nerve cell, and the signal is what's called a neurotransmitter, which you will see emulated here. So if you spin this, you will see your signals coming along the nerve cell, and when it reaches the end,
this neurotransmission or signaling continues until a given action is taken.
that could be jump out of a moving car, that could be thinking about an algebra problem.
The exhibit also features a 2-story interactive called the Neuroclimb.
And it allows kids and adults of all ages to climb through what it would be like to be inside the neural network.
Wow, neurons, the impulse-conducting cells that make up the brain, spinal column, and nerves of vertebrates, all interconnecting into a vast network. Why, that's a lot to wrap your head around, literally.
But remember, there are 100 billion neurons in the brain. What does a single connection of one neuron to another do? Well, we've started to learn that pretty well, but there are 1,000 connections on every neuron, meaning that there are 100 trillion connections in the brain.
Neuroscientist Dr. Dani elaborates on what science can tell us about the brain.
So now, in the past 20 years, we've learned more than all history combined about the brain. Well, we don't understand every component of the brain by a long shot, but we know the components pretty well.
Dr. Dani and his colleagues in neuroscientific research study the brain to understand the mind.
What is consciousness? How does mind arise? How do we save a memory and then retrieve it? Those are the questions we're approaching.
What we're finding out in deep, deep, deep space with the Hubble telescope, would that we had a Hubble telescope-like thing to understand what's going on in the brain.
At the Mutter Museum inside the College of Physicians of Philadelphia, visitors can observe the brain samples of the genius Albert Einstein. Surely they must look different from your average brain.
There's nothing in his brain that indicates that he was a super genius. They're really no different in most ways than any other brain of an adult the same age, with the exception that his blood vessels were very clean. They didn't have a lot of plaque in them. They didn't have fatty deposits. They were like those of a teenager.
Well, it doesn't take a genius to know that a healthy brain, complete with clean blood vessels, helps us live life to the fullest.
Consider dysfunctions of the central nervous system taken as a whole. They cause more hospitalizations, more long-term treatment, and more chronic suffering than all the other diseases combined.
According to Dr. Dani, 50 million people in the United States suffer from mental illness, and there will be 8 million more this year.
It's more than cancer, new cancer patients, and new cardiovascular patients combined.
Degenerative diseases are also on the rise.
There are roughly 5 million Alzheimer's patients in the United States, and in the past decade, the number of Alzheimer's deaths from Alzheimer's disease, has increased about 60 to 70%, and the leading predictor of whether or not you're going to get a degenerative disease is age. So older than 65, it's about a 10% chance of having an Alzheimer's disease. Older than 85, it's about 50% chance that you'll have Alzheimer's disease.
Neuroscientists are now discovering better ways to predict and treat these diseases and to keep the brain healthy by using ever-advancing imaging, computer, and lab technologies.
The changes in technology that we'll capitalize on, and even the potential to have drug therapies to increase to cure disease, help diminish symptoms, and help the intellect, will certainly be there to a greater extent than it's there already. Our ability to analyze the data will improve. Not only will the data itself improve, but our analysis of it will improve.
But what can each of us do to keep our brains healthy?
The important thing is physical health. Good physical health and vigorous exercise. The next thing is don't settle in. Keep challenging yourself. Do new things. Exercise these memory and what we call plasticity mechanisms of the brain. Keep active.
Think of the brain as a muscle that needs to be exercised. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it.
And perhaps one of the best ways to use your brain is to understand how it works. For Focus, I'm Grover Silcox reporting.